Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Classified Captures. This week, we'll be showcasing some spine-chilling, never-before-seen and controversial cam footage worth viewing. Stay till the end, and you'll be glad you gave yourself this treat. We kick off today's collection of trail cam footage with a question. Do you believe in skinwalkers? Well, if your answer was no, then how would you explain what you're about to see? In this trail cam capture on your screen, there's a deer which we see clearly in the foreground. But if you take a closer look at the background, you see that there's an odd-looking creature behind it. At first glance, it looks like a wolf or another creature from the canine family. But upon closer inspection, you'll realize that this creature defies any natural explanation. Its appearance is unlike anything you've ever seen before. In fact, its looks are far from anything natural. In fact, in the first few days of having the footage, we tried to compare it with other canines and found that it matched none. It was at this moment we turned to the paranormal, and you wouldn't believe what came up. We found this image. This is an illustration of a skinwalker from the Navajo tribe, and if you take a look at the wolf or animal form, it looks like the animal we see in the background behind the deer. There's another thing we discovered in Navajo folklore, however. The skinwalkers are also able to turn into deer. This makes us wonder, are we looking at one skinwalker hunting a deer, or are they two skinwalkers with the one behind sneaking up to kill the one in front? Sounds crazy, right? But before you dismiss it, take a second look at the image and share your thoughts in the comments section. Next, we travel all the way to the California woodlands where this unusual trail cam footage from 2011 was recorded. The footage captures two ghostly creatures strolling down a slope, resembling a peculiar sight of trousers in motion with a head positioned where the torso should be. If that's not freaky, well, I don't know what is. According to the uploaders of the footage, however, these are harmless spirits that roam the area to scare off individuals that'll harm the greenery there. Sounds wholesome, right? Especially at a time when we're facing the repercussions of global warming. As much as I'd want to buy into this, it really seems like a poorly executed CGI job. Given the age of the video, it's not too surprising, but what do you think? Next up, we have this trail cam capture sent to us from a remote woodland area in the USA. At first glance, it appears to resemble a bear. However, upon closer inspection, you'll notice a strange amalgamation of features, a mix of dog, wolf, and even a touch of kangaroo. But how's that possible? The shortest answer is, well, we don't know. According to the individual who sent the image, this enigmatic creature stood at least 7 feet tall, draped in dark fur. Considering its distinct departure from any known animal species, it's safe to classify this creature as a cryptid. The lingering question is, which one exactly? Given the available evidence, it's tentatively placed in the same category as the dogman. After all, it's an intriguing possibility, isn't it? What do you think, though? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Next up, we have footage that shows one of those moments where animals sense things and save us without even realizing it. The owner of this footage decided to go horse riding in the woods, knowing very well that creepy sightings have been reported there. I mean, they had to be old wives' tales, right? To prove everyone wrong, he took the camera along with him to record his travels. This is where this footage comes in. In the footage, we see the horse of the man abruptly stop. Watching the video, there's no explanation for it, but when you take a second and closer look, you see it. There, among the trees, is a creature trying to hide. It looks in their direction, then goes back to taking cover behind the trees. There's no telling if it's dangerous or what it can do, but if it's dangerous, that horse may have just saved that man's life. It's not so much an old wives' tale anymore, is it? But what do you think it is? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Next up, we have this dangerous-looking footage, busy and frankly speaking. This footage was taken by individuals exploring the woods at night. In the footage, we see a dark creature trying to get away from the individuals recording the video. All things being equal, they would have simply let the creature go, but take a critical look at the creature. It clearly doesn't look normal and appears to be quite dangerous. It's hard to tell what they're dealing with given the time of the day they were recording and the presence of its white glowing eyes. We're not sure if this is due to the reflection of the light or if that creature indeed has something abnormal going on with its eyes. Aside from that, the creature kept making odd, eerie sounds. The person recording the footage and their team made an effort to stop and capture the creature for identification purposes, but unfortunately it managed to evade their grasp. Do you have an idea what this is, or have you encountered one before? Kindly share in the comments section. Next up is this image here, which remains quite a mystery to us. It's hard to make out what type of creature is standing in front of the tree. The only clue is that the creature has dark, shiny fur and what appears to be long-looking arms, if that is what they truly are. Its weird posture makes it difficult to determine if it's lying down, standing, sitting, or bending. Could it be a bear? No, the body proportions don't match up. So what exactly is that thing? We can't say for sure, and neither can we find any evidence of any other creatures that look like this. Could this be an otherworldly creature, or are we reading a lot more meaning into this than we should? Share your thoughts in the comments section. We'll be reading. Next, we have a quiz for you. Remember that time when I accidentally called an American badger and a possum and you drilled me for it? If you haven't seen that video, I recommend you watch all our videos till you find it and then write "found" in the comments section. Anyway, back to what I was saying. I do have a quiz for you today. A follower on this page sent in this footage. It was captured on a trail camera. If you look closely, you'll see a hairy creature that appears to be crawling on all fours. It has very large legs with a thick tail. Here's the thing though. The creature doesn't look like any of the creatures near where she lives. She feels that this might be an otherworldly being in the form of an animal or a species that has gone without notice in the region. I must admit that my team and I don't know what to make of it, so we turn to you. What creature is that? Tell us in the comments section. Next, we take a look at another footage from a man who, unlike the previous video uploader, knows what he's dealing with. Before we share what he said, what do you think is in this image? Can you make anything out? Well, thankfully, the uploader of the image saw the creature up close and gave us this description. The blurry creature you see in the image is at least 8 feet tall, with broad shoulders and thick muscles even around the neck region. It had black fur and weighed approximately 800 pounds according to his personal estimation. He also added, the scream from the creature felt like it was coming out of a large speaker. Based on the evidence, can you guess which cryptid we're dealing with here? Yep, the Bigfoot. Before you call him crazy, here's another image from the same person where he managed to capture 3 of them in one photo. Wild, right? Next, let's take a trip to Chilcotin, where we received a chilling and quite frankly scary image from individuals who had gone tree planting. Have a look. What do you see? First of all, we have to agree that that's very weird. Next, though, what is it? Well, the individuals who found this believe that we're looking at the very foot of a baby Sasquatch. They sent images and footage to different experts to solicit their opinion on the subject, and the paranormal community had their fair share. The community, however, believes instead of it being the foot of a baby Sasquatch, it might actually be the hand of a fully grown one. They add that it has thumbs and everything. What say you? Next, take a look at this trail cam capture. What does it look like? It looks like a man, but if it's really a man, why is he all white and weird looking? Your guess is as good as mine. You know it can't be a man because, after all, men don't glow. What then is it? The uploader believes it might be a paranormal or otherworldly creature. Some in the paranormal community also pointed out that it could be aliens, but looking at it right now, that's hard to see. A part of me feels it might just be a man in a costume trying to prank whoever owns this trail camera. But what do you guys think? Tell us in the comments section. Have you ever seen the bringer of death, the one who takes men to their final abode, the entity who's encountered every man who has ever lived? If you didn't know who I was referring to, it's the Grim Reaper. But hey, if you claim to have seen him, you shouldn't be among the living, unless, of course, he made an appearance on your trail camera, and that's exactly the footage we're about to show you. This trail cam owner is convinced they've captured genuine footage of the Grim Reaper in action. As much as I wouldn't want to be that guy, it looks like someone might be playing tricks on him. I must admit that it only looks like a guy in a costume to me. Let's be real, if the Grim Reaper were to be caught on a trail cam, it would be a photo of him carrying out his duties, not posing in front of it. Unless, of course, he's alerting the trail cam owner he's next. But what do you think? Next, we visit Michigan. Now we have footage from a hiker who claims to have encountered Bigfoot while hiking through the Michigan woods. Although blurry, if you look to the left side of the image, you'd see a creature which is supposed to be a Bigfoot. Following that, the uploader shares an image taken at a waterfall, which should have come after the first one. If you look closely at the waterfall image, Bigfoot can be just seen above the waterfall. Bear in mind that the uploader actually sent screenshots of a video he took and not the actual video itself. We don't know why he did this, but he swears that he encountered a Bigfoot and would one day go back to try and get full evidence. The paranormal community firmly believes him and eagerly awaits further evidence. Personally, if this is indeed real, I wouldn't advise him to go back. He might not be so lucky to escape unharmed. But what do you think? How would you respond to seeing a woman clothed in white in the woods staring at you? Well, if you're as familiar with horror movies as we are, you'd know the first instinct is to flee. But what if you spot her on your trail camera? The image you see on your screen was reportedly captured by a trail cam deep within the woods. The owner uploaded it online, and everyone believes it's the spirit of someone who died a violent death, condemned to roam the woods until she's set free from her torment. A sad story, isn't it? What do you think, though? Do you think it's real, or do you believe it was made up? Tell us in the comments section. Have you heard the legend of Goatman? If you haven't, allow me to educate you. Goatman is said to be half man and half goat, and is the result of either a curse or a science experiment gone wrong. His origins may vary depending on the source, but all versions agree on his appearance. Not many have seen the creature until someone uploaded this trail cam capture online. The paranormal community went into a frenzy over this image, claiming it to be one of the clearest captures of the creature. As you can see, it's humanoid with a goat head and hooves for feet. But what do you think? Is this real, or is someone just playing tricks? Next, we have some of our clearest and quite frankly beautiful pictures of Bigfoot. Take a close look at the date inscriptions on this image and you'll notice that this picture dates back to 2015. It's unmistakably a Bigfoot. One glance is all it takes. The bipedal creature has a lot of fur all over its body and walks upright as a human does. It's a Bigfoot. While we'd love to share more details about the location and number of Bigfoots present in the image, the subscriber who sent it wishes to keep that information undisclosed. According to the subscriber, there are Bigfoot enthusiasts as well as secret government departments actively hunting down these magnificent creatures. But what do you think, real or not? We all have that one friend that likes to photobomb, but what if the photobomber is a paranormal creature? Confused? Take a look at this trail cam capture. Do you see it? Yes, there's a deer in the capture, but aside from the deer, there's an unknown being, creature, or entity standing to the left of the screen. It appears to have some kind of head covering, giving it an intriguing appearance. No one in the paranormal community, however, knows what or who it is. Could it be a witch, or perhaps a tormented soul condemned to wander the woods? While the identity of the entity remains a mystery, one thing is certain. The owner of this trail cam footage should exercise caution in those woods. Things are not what they appear to be. Imagine you walk into the woods and see a woman in black walking across the path a few meters from you. What would you do? The best option is to run, and that's exactly what the uploader did. Upon reviewing the footage from her camera, she realized that the strange occurrences didn't begin deep in the woods, but actually started right before she entered. As you can see, an entity peered out and looked at her before she entered the woods. Is the forest haunted? Or is there a demonic being trailing the woman? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Next, we travel back to visit Eugene, Oregon. in 2021. The image you see on your screen was taken by a young lady who was out in the woods with her dogs. They stumbled upon tracks that were too large and deep to be attributed to an average human. Amazed at the find, she photographed and followed them with her dogs. She continued her adventure until she reached the lake and trees you see in the images. From afar, she could see a Bigfoot-sized creature in the trees. Her dogs also looked in that direction, likely sensing and seeing it too. When we zoom into the photo, we can clearly see it. It appears that the creature had noticed they were following its trail. However, instead of coming out, it stood there and watched from the distance. Who knows what could have been going through its head? Thankfully, though, no one was hurt. Would you be interested in visiting Oregon to look for the Sasquatch? Let us know. Next, we travel back in time to the year 2019 in Georgia. Unlike the previous capture, this one is much closer and we see the creature in its full size. There's even a camp trailer in the frame, providing a point of comparison. Upon closer inspection, you'll notice that the creature has an ape-like appearance and impressive height. However, unlike the primates we're familiar with, this one walks upright just like a human. By this point in the video, it becomes evident that we are indeed dealing with a Bigfoot. Unlike the other Bigfoot we have reviewed in today's compilation, this has more of a human-like face than it does an ape. Remarkable, isn't it? In any case, what are your thoughts? Do you believe this is real or not? I must admit, I definitely think this is real. Humans often forget that they share the planet with other creatures, and sometimes their actions can have unintended consequences for these animals. Such was the case in this video, where a massive tree was being felled with a chainsaw, oblivious to the fact that animals were living in it. As the tree comes crashing down, a tiny bear cub emerged from the bottom of the remaining trunk. One can only imagine the terror it must have felt, suddenly finding itself exposed to the outside world. Thankfully, the cub managed to escape unscathed, but it was left homeless and vulnerable. It's important to remember that the natural world is not just a resource for human consumption, but a delicate ecosystem that's home to a myriad of creatures. Before undertaking any activities that could harm wildlife, it's important to take the time to assess the situation and ensure that all necessary precautions have been taken to protect these creatures. Well, here we go again, another tree. This time it's not being felled, but rather burning. But fortunately, it wasn't caused by humans this time. This tree was found burning from the inside by itself. When experts were called to assess the situation, it was concluded that the tree was struck by lightning, which set it ablaze. So to quench the fire, which was sure to spread, they had to cut the trunk open. Just look at those yellow and orange flames. Beautiful, but dangerous. In the deep of the night, a trail cam footage set on a swamp of alligators, and in the stillness of the night, you can hear the beast bellowing. The alligator was a formidable sight with its rough, scaly skin and powerful jaws. But amid its loud bellowing, it was clear that it was also searching for love. The deep, guttural sound echoed through the swamp, sending a message to any nearby alligators that it was ready to mate. While humans are busy finding cheesy pickup lines to woo a lover, these guys let out a primal cry from their guts, shaking any potential mate to the core and attracting them to it. The alligator's bellowing continued for several minutes, growing louder and more urgent with each passing moment. As the sound echoed through the swamp, it was clear that the alligator was determined to find a mate. I hope he finds what he's searching for. This majestic crane stands tall and proud, Its slender, elongated legs allow it to effortlessly balance on the muddied earth while its sharp beak protrudes like a finely honed sword. The crane's beady eyes dart around, scanning the murky waters for any sign of movement, any hint of prey. It seems almost otherworldly, as if it doesn't belong in this earthly realm, with its ethereal white feathers shining in the dim light filtering through the dense foliage above. As the crane preens its feathers, it exudes a sense of calm and serenity, as if it's one with the swamp around it. But one can't help but wonder what secrets lie beneath those still waters and how the crane navigates through the treacherous terrain of the swamp. It is a true marvel of nature, an elegant and enigmatic creature that leaves us in awe and wonder. Take a close look at this trail cam capture. Can you spot what's out of place? If you notice that the deer's neck doesn't look natural, you're absolutely right. It seems like the deer is howling, but as we all know, that's something exclusive to the canine family. In no universe is this behavior normal for a deer. What's even stranger is that this posture has been captured by multiple trail cams in that same area. So what could possibly be happening here? If you're familiar with the paranormal community, which I believe you are being on this channel, you might already be aware that they would have suspected something supernatural is at play. The most prominent theory suggests that a demon could be possessing the deer. Another stated that some otherworldly creature is attempting to mimic an animal from our realm. These possibilities are certainly intriguing. However, the scientific community quickly dismissed these speculations, stating that the deer was simply very sick and injured, with no paranormal elements involved. As it turns out, it was just an everyday deer. Wild biologists believe it had suffered from food impaction, which then became infected, ruptured, and drained. While it may be a normal deer, it certainly found itself in an abnormal situation. The pain it experienced made maintaining a normal neck posture impossible, and it struggled to drink or swallow. Our quest for the paranormal took an unexpected turn, leaving us feeling rather somber. Unfortunately, nobody knows if the deer survived or made a full recovery, but I'd like to think it did. Do you believe in ghosts? If you answered no, this CCTV footage might change your mind. Did you see that? Do you have any other explanation for it? The owner of this CCTV footage was reviewing the recordings from the previous night when they stumbled upon this puzzling incident. It was unlike anything he'd ever seen before. Perplexed, he decided to upload it online in hopes of finding answers, and boy, did the online community have a lot to say. Everyone seemed to be convinced that what they were witnessing here were actual ghosts. The big question on everyone's mind was, what kind of ghosts were they, and why were they roaming the neighborhood at that specific time? Unfortunately, no one had concrete answers. It was all speculation and suspicion. Some even went as far as suggesting that what we saw were not ghosts at all, but Santa and his reindeer traveling through the neighborhood. And you know what? Once you see it from that perspective, you can't unsee it. It really does look like reindeer pulling a sleigh. The only strange thing is why two of the reindeer seem to collide with the fence and disintegrate into dust. While the paranormal community grappled with this enigma, there were skeptics in the scientific community who claimed that they weren't dealing with ghosts at all. Instead, they proposed a rather mundane explanation. Those figures were just regular humans running. Sounds absurd, right? That's what I thought too until I heard their reasoning. Apparently, the low-quality nature of the video can distort human figures and make them appear ghost-like. As for the two entities that seemingly turned to dust, they might have simply thrown their coats onto the fence, but due to the video's poor quality, it created the illusion of disintegration. I didn't want to accept it at first, but it does seem logical, doesn't it? Well, that's for you to decide. Bigfoot doesn't seem to catch a break these days. Many are on a quest to prove its existence, setting up trail cameras in hopes of catching a glimpse of the elusive creature. While not many have been successful, it seems like the owner of this trail cam footage may have struck gold. Take a look at this footage and you'll see what appears to be an ape casually strolling through the woods, completely oblivious to being filmed. But upon closer inspection, you'll realize that this creature doesn't quite resemble any ordinary ape in appearance or movement. Could it possibly be a new species? Well, that's highly unlikely. Believe it or not, the idea of Bigfoot is more plausible than an entirely new species never seen before. Although the creature in the footage resembles an ape, it doesn't hunch over or move like typical apes, such as gorillas. Instead, its mannerisms and posture, while in motion, appear more human than ape-like. Now, think about it for a moment. Is there any creature you know of that looks like an ape but behaves like a human? Exactly, Bigfoot. But here's the question that lingers. Is this the real deal, or is it someone merely toying with the paranormal community? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section. Howling is something that wolves and dogs with wolf DNA love to do. Hearing them howl when it's not in your living room can be very mesmerizing. But what if it's a wolf cub? Well, thanks to this trail cam footage, we know what it looks and feels like as well as what to expect. Not many individuals know this, but wolf pups as young as this one are capable of howling. You might be tempted to think it was distress or something evil had happened to the rest of the pack, but rest assured, all is well. As days go by, the world keeps getting weirder and scarier. This footage can be either weird or scary, or both depending on how you look at it. You would consider it weird if you thought that the fox was merely the victim of a tragic accident that took two of its legs, or that it was simply born this way. If this is the case, then this is one for the books. The way it moves on its two front legs is quite fascinating and awesome to watch. But what if there's more? What if it had something to do with the supernatural? Perhaps a shapeshifter that didn't complete its shapeshifting. One thing is for certain, this footage has left me with more questions than answers. And as the sun sets and darkness falls, I can't shake the feeling that there are things in this world that are best left unexplored. Play fights are always fun, especially if you're doing it with a loved one. Be it a pillow fight with your lover or a fake WWE wrestling match with your son, you can't deny it's one of those unique and fun things we love doing with family. But what if I told you it was not necessarily a human thing? What if I told you it's something animals in the wild also love doing? Do you doubt me? Behold the play-fighting bears of the wild. Yes, there is the occasional growl, the gnashing of teeth, and what looks like the solid attempt to cut out each other's throat, but despite all that apparent aggression, it's all love and fun. Well, at least something close to it, since the bears are not truly capable of that. They might not be killing each other, but that's what makes this so wholesome to watch. It's not every day you see two bears do this. I've seen bears hunt, and that's definitely not how they do it. There is usually focus and aggression. I don't see any of that here. In fact, it's not interested in eating them at all. Two things come to mind. The bear is either very bored, or it's simply just being a psycho. You don't need to be a scientist to know the fish are not enjoying that. The bear doesn't seem to care, though. If I received $1 for every time a drone pilot captured something odd and weird without realizing it, I'd surely be a millionaire by now. This footage was captured by a drone pilot in Ohio who was simply trying to get nice footage of the forest area, and he assumed that was all he had captured. At least until he reviewed the footage and realized he'd captured more than he intended. In the footage was a stealthy dark figure in the forest which was trying to avoid drawing attention to itself. He couldn't discern what it was exactly, but he could tell that it was bigger than human and all black, either with fur or dark skin. Taking a second look at it, he concluded it was fur. But what creature could possibly be that big? Turns out there are no creatures in the forest area which are that big. But there have been rumors of Bigfoot sightings, a very shy and elusive one at that. Had this drone pilot just delivered another piece of evidence of the presence of Bigfoot in Ohio? Many believe so. What do you think? Let's dive further into the Bigfoot mystery with this intriguing image. Could this possibly be one of the closest and clearest images we have of Bigfoot? At first glance, it's evident that this is no ordinary ape, as most apes don't stand and move in such a manner beyond the fur. There isn't much resemblance to other known ape species. However, upon closer examination, doubts about its authenticity start to arise. Could it be a person wearing an ape suit? That's certainly a possibility, especially considering the proportions of the creature's body, but what if the entire image itself is fake? It's a question we have to ask. Take a critical look. One notices a white lining around the image of the Bigfoot, particularly around the head and shoulders. Could this be a sign of editing, or is it simply a result of natural lighting conditions at the location where the picture was taken? As much as we yearn for this image to be an authentic depiction of Bigfoot, there are several red flags that cannot be ignored, and unfortunately we lack the means to verify its veracity. This leaves us in a state of conflict, contemplating whether the image is real or fabricated. We invite you to share your thoughts with us in the comments section. What's your take on this perplexing image? Do you believe it could be an actual photograph of Bigfoot, or do you suspect it's a cleverly staged hoax? Let us know your thoughts below. A couple going about their normal everyday business came across a limb that was well preserved but didn't seem to belong to any animal species they knew. They could have easily ignored and continued with their day, but a part of them wondered, what if they had finally come across something significant? They took the limb and took pictures. The lady then realized they could actually have been handling a well-preserved foot of the legendary Bigfoot. On second thought, it didn't look big enough to be Bigfoot. They sent the image around and were told that they could actually be handling either the hand, see what I did there, of a juvenile Bigfoot or its foot. If only there was a way to cross-check its DNA with the DNA of other Bigfoot. But there is. Dr. Melba Ketchum and her team claimed to have conducted DNA sequencing on various biological samples, including hair and tissue, purportedly obtained from unidentified hominin species commonly known as Bigfoot. Perhaps they should send the sample to them. Maybe we may be able to get to the bottom of this once and for all. Have you ever wondered what the child of a Bigfoot might look like? Well, wonder no more. This intriguing photo was captured by a moto detection trail camera, revealing a large humanoid creature walking through the woods with its young. Now, think about it. Have you ever seen footage of an ape with its offspring, perhaps a gorilla or a chimpanzee? If you have, then you know that's not how they typically move. Normally, the baby would be on the parent's back, or even when they are not, they don't hold hands and walk upright on 2 feet. Based on this alone, I can't help but believe we are indeed dealing with a Bigfoot family here. And speaking of family, if you take a closer look at the image, you'll notice 2 other black spots further down from the main subjects we're initially focused on. If you didn't know any better, I'd say those are another set of Bigfoot. Could this be a nuclear family of Bigfoot moving together through the woods, or are they part of a larger community of Bigfoot that has successfully evaded discovery over the years? But here's a question that arises. Is this image even real? In this age of advanced AI, we can generate all sorts of things. That leaves me wondering, is this the real deal or a product of clever fabrication and manipulation to make us believe in Bigfoot? What do you think it is? Still on bears, not everyone is this lucky. Not many trail cam owners can boast of this. This trail cam has just captured a bear in its full glory. This seemingly black, well-built bear has been rumored by all who live in the vicinity to roam the area. This is, however, the first time it had been captured this way. At first, it looks like something out of a horror movie. A pair of glowing eyes approach from a distance. As the creature gets closer, you can see the dark entity forming into the image of a ferocious beast on 4 legs. Then, ow, it's a bear. It stands for a while, examines its surroundings, and when it realizes it's safe, it heads towards the camera. It investigates the camera and then walks away. Good thing we had access to the whole footage and not just parts of it. It could have been mistaken for an evil being when it had that glare in its eyes. I mean, look at that. It looks like an evil spirit took the form of a bear to roam the earth. But what if that's the actual case? What if it really is what it appears to be? Giraffes are known for many things, but wearing jewelry is in no way one of them. How this tire got around this gentle giant's neck, we'll never know, but what we do know and can appreciate is the effort of this team to get rid of it. You don't have to be a giraffe to know that it would have been painfully exhausting to carry that tire around your neck. This is confirmed when the team finally succeeded in taking it off, as they realized that the area where the tire rested around its neck had become sore with open wounds. They, however, came prepared and ended up treating the wound to prevent infection, which is a true killer in the wild. One thing still baffles me: how did the tire get around its neck? It's very unlikely that the giraffe bent its head so low to the ground that it somehow got stuck with the tire around its neck. It's physically exhausting for them to do that. It certainly had to be a human. But who? Why? And for what purpose? I guess we'll never find out. What happens when you walk into your favorite forest only to see some trees uprooted and the branches of some broken? I mean, not just 1 or 2 or 3 trees or their branches, but a whole lot of them. As though that was not odd enough, some of these trees and branches had actually been stacked on top of each other. Naturally, this would arouse curiosity, and that's exactly what happened with the owner of this trail cam footage. He hadn't seen this happen in the forest before and thought perhaps an animal was building something. But what animal? He couldn't tell. If they were smaller, he could have assumed a beaver was responsible. But then again, there were no beavers in the area. With no answers, he set up a trail cam in the area, hoping to capture an image, at least of whatever was responsible. He left the trail cam for a few days and returned to the footage. At first, the footage showed nothing, yet he assumed that he was overthinking things until he saw a dark beast sitting on one of the branches in the footage. It was dark and big. He thought it could be a bear, but no, it didn't share enough features with a bear. So, an ape? At least that's what he initially thought, but there were no ape species in the area, plus it was too large to be one. Then, what was it? He couldn't place a finger on it until he saw the night footage and concluded that he was in fact dealing with the mythical and elusive creature known as Bigfoot. Do you know that eerie feeling of something just watching you from afar when you're walking alone, especially at night? Well, this farmer and his group of friends decided to have a barbecue dinner outside and couldn't shake off the feeling they were being watched. By what, they couldn't tell. That was at least the case until one of them spotted a pair of glowing eyes hiding between some trees. They decided to film it, thinking they were perhaps dealing with a hungry wolf from the woods. But they soon discovered that, although the creature had the head of a wolf, it looked like a human from down below. At least, that's what they thought, using their imagination, as its lower half was hidden by the bushes. Judging by the height at which it stood, though, they were very sure it had to have a human lower half. It also had a very muscly back, and it led them to believe that this was a werewolf. They considered shooting it, but what if it was indeed a werewolf? They didn't have silver to kill it, and would have instead aggravated it. To avoid any type of violence and potential death, they decided to offer some meat to this creature, whatever it was, a few feet from where they were having their barbecue. It was only then that the creature disappeared. Do you think that was a werewolf? A part of me doesn't think so. I don't think a werewolf will just crouch down in the bushes and watch a group of humans enjoy their meal without it taking a bite first. But maybe that's just me. Would you call out a ghost dressed in ancient regalia? I know I wouldn't. But this group of Arabic YouTubers are a different breed altogether. They'd gone exploring an abandoned area in the northeast of Saudi Arabia when they came across the image of a person walking in an abandoned area in the middle of the night. He looked very pale, as if he'd been dead for a while, and took very stiff strides in the darkness. That to me will be the sign to get out of there, but that only interested the YouTubers. They wanted to understand what was going on and who it even was. Seeing him dressed in ancient clothes didn't stop them either. They started calling out to him. He didn't respond to them and went on his way. Nobody knows where he went or why he went there or who he even was. After sharing this video online, some thought it was the spirit of an ancient warrior that had come back to life, while others thought it was a hoax. What do you think? Earlier in today's video, we saw the security cam footage of what we initially believed to be ghosts before the science folk busted our bubble. Well, there's this one too. The owner of this trail cam had set it up to record videos of local wildlife for his personal use. He started to review the footage and came across this. It left him perplexed and a little bit scared. However, when he shared this online in an attempt to alleviate his fears, it only made things worse. Everyone who saw the image became convinced that the location where he set up his trail camera was haunted, and it would be best for him to never return there. But what if the ghosts followed him home? Perhaps he disturbed its place of abode and unintentionally revealed it to the rest. Some state that there's no way it's an apparition or ghost, and that it definitely has to be a camera error. Some also think it's just bad Photoshop. When you buy or move into a new property, you should make sure it's both physically and spiritually safe. In this next footage, you'll see a dog pushed into the pool by an unknown evil and ominous force that has been long hunting the property before this family moved in. No, that's not what happened. I was just teasing. This security cam footage is probably the most heroic thing you will see today. The two dogs you see in the footage were playing when one fell into the icy and almost frozen swimming pool. Hearing the splash from inside, the owner of the pups ran out and jumped into the pool with little to no regard for his own life or safety. She figured it out where the pup had fallen and did her best to bring him out. It was already unconscious when she brought it out. She quickly called the vet, who came over and did his best to keep the pup among the living. She had saved its life, something only superwomen can do. Nobody likes to feel like they're being followed. If you're a moose in the wild, it's the last thing you would want, especially at night, since it could only mean one thing: your life is in danger. Can animals always sense when they're being stalked, though? Apparently, that's not always the case. If you take a look at this trail cam footage, you'll notice there's a moose standing right in front of the camera. As you keep watching, you see a pair of eyes appear from nowhere in the bushes behind the moose. The eyes quickly disappear, then reappear to the right, only to disappear and reappear once again. It was initially tempted to think a predator was stalking the moose, but what kind of predator moves that fast? None that I'm aware of. Could it be something more? Could an otherworldly creature have been stalking the moose and forced it to a halt where it stood? Could the creature have noticed the camera and concealed itself in the bushes? We can never say for sure, but I do think that it's a possibility. Camping can be fun and interesting, and it introduces you to lots of many experiences you never thought possible. Some are attracted to camping because they've never experienced the outdoors before, while others love it for the adrenaline and thrill it offers. However, when families go camping, it's usually intended as a fun bonding exercise. But what happens when this fun activity, which is supposed to help the family bond and relax, becomes one that introduces them to danger they did not even know existed? The family you see in this footage was exposed to danger while camping, and they didn't even realize it. If you watch the video carefully, you'll notice a creature swiftly moving past the young boy. If you didn't see it, watch it again. Did you see it? If you've been following today's videos, then you would have already learnt by now that in low light conditions, objects can look weirder in the camera than they actually are. But this doesn't look like one such case. The family had the footage analyzed by experts who concluded that no stimuli were present in the environment that could have created the image of the creature running past their little boy. Whatever it was the real deal, and that left the family spooked. There was indeed a spirit present with them, and they were unaware. What if it had killed or hurt them? What if it had followed them home? I guess time will tell. Imagine walking through the woods for the first time and running into the decomposing skull of a deer tied to a tree. No matter who you are, this is gonna make you feel uncomfortable, even if just a little bit. And as we all know, nothing good ever comes out of anything involving skulls and skeletons. Talk less of when they're hanging. But what could be going on here? Well, there are a couple of theories, the first being a ritual by the natives in the area who sacrifice a virgin sow each year for protection. Passerbys are encouraged to rub and kiss the skull thrice. If this is the reason, then it's not so scary or weird. But there is another theory, a rather disturbing one that involves paranormal activity, an unpopular one known as the Deer Woman. This is a forest god who lures men in the form of a seductive, beautiful, and irresistible woman and ends up sending them to a lair. Once there, she turns into a deer and bashes their skulls open, after which she does what she wants with their bodies and soul. She is said to leave deer skulls hanging around her place of abode to ward off intruders. Could this footage have come from one of her locations? Is it even the Deer Woman at all? Or is there something more sinister at work here? The haunting audio captured in this national park in Florida sends shivers down your spine as you listen to the strange, otherworldly noise. It's unlike anything you've ever heard before. Not a howl, not a roar, and certainly not a bark. It's a sound that defies explanation, leaving you with a sense of unease and an eerie feeling, one that you simply can't afford to ignore. Something is definitely lurking just out of sight. Not just one, but possibly two, and they seem to be communicating. Some thought the park may have a skinwalker due to the unidentified sightings. But these sounds couldn't be that of skinwalkers. They make noises to lure people and can mimic human sounds as well. But that didn't sound human. If the skinwalker can be ruled out, then could we be hearing the legendary Bigfoot? Just how many are there? Could there be more than one Bigfoot in Florida? Do you live in Florida? Have you heard anything concerning a Bigfoot? Or would you be bold enough to go investigate it for us? Or do you think some mysteries are better left unexplored? Kindly let us know in the comments section. Still on Bigfoot, you don't need me to remind you that the legend concerning this mythical creature has been shrouded in mystery for centuries. Some claim to have seen him, others believe he doesn't exist at all, while some hold on to the view that seeing him is the last thing you would ever do. The reason not many can attest to his existence. But there seems to have been an exception. Look at how this hairy creature is walking without realizing there's a drone recording it. It's just walking on two legs, just like humans. Bigfoot is also a bipedal creature. That's what makes this footage so interesting. In the footage, you see that the creature is walking at a consistent pace. It almost looks like the creature has his mind fixated on getting something, or that he has to arrive somewhere on time. Is this Bigfoot walking to his wife and thinking about what to get her? We're sure happy that the owner of this drone footage shared it with us so we can keep on speculating about his existence. But what do you think? Where do you think Bigfoot was headed? Share it with us in the comments section. It's a cruel world out there, especially for the more smaller and vulnerable creatures that inhabit it. In this particular instance, a poor rabbit fell victim to the ruthless tactics of a group of bullying coyotes. As you can see, the rabbit attempted to flee, but one of the coyotes was quick enough to catch it between its jaws, sealing the rabbit's fate. It's heartbreaking to witness the brutality of nature, especially when it involves the loss of an innocent life. These coyotes, with their callous disregard for the value of life, are a reminder that in the wild, survival of the fittest is the only rule that matters. It's easy to feel anger towards these coyotes for their vicious behavior, but it's important to remember that they're simply following their instincts to survive. Love is like a symphony that fills the world with joy and wonder, and in the heart of nature, two lovebirds have found each other, completely oblivious to the trail camera that captures their sweet moments. These deer are caught in the act of grooming each other, lost in their world of affection. For deer, grooming is not just a simple act, but a way of expressing their love and affection. Their unique love language involves picking at each other's fur and continually licking each other. And while they're at it, they also take the opportunity to rid each other of pesky parasites, leaving them feeling refreshed and rejuvenated. Talk about a clean, loving, healthy relationship. Ah, the lynx, a truly magnificent creature that captures the imagination with its beauty and grace. Caught on camera in the dead of night, this lynx prowls the wilderness with its regal poise as the true king of the forest. As it approaches the trail camera, its curiosity is palpable, a testament to the intelligence and inquisitive nature of this stunning feline. The lynx sniffs around the camera with a mix of wonder and caution, taking in its surroundings with all the majesty of a creature that knows it's at the top of the food chain. And who can blame the lynx for feeling so confident in its power? With its beautiful fur and piercing eyes, this is undoubtedly one of the most breathtaking felines on the planet. It's easy to see why the lynx has captured the heart and minds of nature lovers and photographers alike, with its striking appearance and commanding presence. The great balancing act of nature. A man set up a trail camera in the woods to take note of the kinds of animals, especially predators, that roamed the area. After having the camera record for a while, he decides to pick it up and review the footage. He expected to see many things, but this was not one of them. If you take a look at this trail cam footage, everything seems fine at first, but only after a few seconds. If we focus on the left side of the screen, an ominous figure suddenly appears and moves in a strange pattern, shifting from left to right and then back to left. Based on its appearance, an intelligent guess would suggest it could be a ghost. However, what would a ghost be doing in the middle of nowhere? Could it be a tormented spirit seeking peace? The sudden kneel is undeniably eerie. But how can we determine if the footage is authentic? How do we know it's not someone in a ghost costume trying to scare the owner of the trail cam footage? That's one potential explanation. Another theory is that it could be an occult member performing rituals in the woods. That might explain the sudden kneel and rise, as this might just be a normal part of the occultic ritual. Whatever the case, we may never know what the real reason is, but what do you think? Talking about strange and unidentifiable creatures, what do you think that is? If you direct your attention to the right side of the screen between the small opening in the gate, you'll notice a peculiar face. However, the face does not appear normal or natural. It has an ancient and non-human quality. Remarkably, it exhibits human-like intelligence, promptly noticing the camera and swiftly averting its gaze and movement. We have yet to determine the true nature of this entity. Can you help? Do you have an idea what we could be dealing with? Kindly share in the comments section below. How would you react when you were taking a walk through the forest and come across a big and hairy creature which appears to be walking on its 2 feet like a human does? If you mention running away, you're speaking my language. In contrast, the owner of this footage takes a different approach. He carefully takes out his camera and films. Although the video is blurry and of poor quality, we can still discern the presence of something out there. What is it, though? Some viewers who have seen the footage speculate that it might be Bigfoot. I'm also inclined to think the same, but I'm curious to hear your opinions as well. What do you think it is? Moving from Bigfoot, we take a look at another mysterious creature of the night. This trail cam which recorded this footage has been set up deep in the hearts of the woods to capture the wildlife that roam the area. Unbeknownst to the owner, the camera captured something unearthly and untamed. It was wild, yet not necessarily alive. Upon examining the footage, you'll notice an ethereal figure draped in white robes. However, the creature doesn't remain stationary. It eerily fades away into the night just as mysteriously as it appears. What was it? No one knows. But what do you make of it? Still on mysterious creatures, take a look at this trail cam footage. What did you notice? It appears that a creature made of light passed by the camera, doesn't it? Numerous viewers were convinced that it captured an angel delivering a message caught unaware by the camera. I loved that explanation too, until I reviewed the footage again for the 1000th time. That's when something caught my attention. The pattern and movement of the rays of light were not very odd. The rays of light appeared to sway back and forth as if caught in the wind. It was then that it hit me. What if the camera had actually captured cobwebs and they looked like they did because of how close they were to the camera and how much light was hitting them? At that moment, it all made sense. That's exactly what was happening. But I couldn't believe it. I'd become like one of those science people. It feels like I betrayed the paranormal community. But what do you think? While some prey may fall victim to the wiles of their predators, others are wise enough to evade them and live to see another day. And in this particular case, we witness a true champion of survival, a porcupine that is not yet ready to bid the world farewell. As we watch in awe, this spiky hero climbs a tree with lightning-fast agility, leaving its would-be predators in the dust. This porcupine has no intention of becoming Coyote Chow and will do whatever it takes to stay alive. In the background, we hear a chorus of coyotes growling and barking, their predatory instincts kicking into high gear at the sight of their potential meat scampering away. But this porcupine is no ordinary prey. It's a survivor and knows how to outsmart even the most cunning of predators. As the coyote appears and sniffs out the tree in search of a meal, the porcupine remains hidden, its spiky exterior acting as a natural defense mechanism that sends predators running for the hills. And with nothing in sight, the coyote is left to lick its wounds and seek out a less prickly meal. And so our spiky hero lives to see another day, a testament to the power of survival and the importance of never giving up even in the face of danger. It's a reminder that in nature, anything is possible, and that sometimes the smallest, most unlikely of creatures can emerge victorious against all odds. The bird in question was observed standing on a tree trunk for some time, seemingly still and alert. After a while, it began to flip its wings vigorously, but didn't take off from the trunk. The behavior seemed unusual and unexpected, prompting curiosity about its purpose. While there could be several possible explanations for the bird's behavior, some theories include the possibility of the bird trying to shake off excess moisture or preening its feathers. It's also possible that the bird was using the tree trunk as a platform to communicate with other birds or was simply stretching its wings and muscles before taking off. Without more context or observations, it's difficult to determine the exact reason behind the bird's behavior. However, the incident serves as a reminder of the intricate and complex behaviors of wildlife, which are often beyond human comprehension. There is still so much we have to learn because it seems every day new creatures are being found in the wild. These two students took a study trip into the woods, but I guess their curiosity to learn more gave them more than they bargained for. While hiking through the woods, they spotted what they thought to be a wild animal from afar, a bear or a wolf. But as the creature rose from the ground, it stood almost human-like and looked nothing like a bear. The two guys ran off because they were spooked by the creature they saw. They said it looked like nothing they had seen before. With the description they gave, the only animal that fits such features is none other than Bigfoot. What do you also think? Still on Bigfoot, we traveled to the woodlands in Washington state where a hiker came face to face with a creature that shares the likeness of the Bigfoot huddled on the branches of a tree. As the hiker and the creature stood frozen in place, both frightened of each other because of this unscheduled meeting. The hiker made the first move and slowly retreated. When the footage surfaced in December 2021, everyone who saw it was sure that this was a juvenile Bigfoot. Some are skeptical and think it's a bear instead, but I don't think so. Just take a good look at it. It screams Bigfoot. Still on strange apparitions, take a look at this security cam footage. I'm sure you saw a cat, didn't you? Now take your time and watch it again. You do see the translucent being running on the right side of the screen, right? Yes, that's our point of interest. Unless that's Sue from the Fantastic Four, that was a ghost or some form of apparition. Before you argue that the camera quality is bad, you might want to remind yourself that we saw the cat run as well, but it was not translucent. That only leaves us with one question. What was that? Until we can be 100% sure, it's safe to say whomever recorded that footage might need a priest to help him rid himself of whatever apparition that was. This particular footage may be less sharp than the others we've shown you today, but please pay close attention. This is a 2011 footage from the dense woods of Oklahoma. A family had gone camping there and set up a camera to document their experience. 2 days after the trip, they were going over their footage and saw what you see on your screen currently. Direct your attention to the background, where you can observe a swift movement of a dark figure seemingly attempting to avoid detection. Despite the lack of clarity, those who analyzed the footage were firmly convinced that it depicted a Bigfoot. Considering Oklahoma's reputation as a Bigfoot sighting hotspot, the possibility seemed quite plausible. The only challenge was the Bigfoot seemed like it was human height. This made some people very skeptical. Now it's time for your input. Do you believe it's Bigfoot or something else entirely? What would you do if you heard a strange noise while exploring the wild? If you answered anything other than ran away, perhaps you ought to see a shrink. There's definitely no way that's safe enough for you to investigate. The owner of this footage, however, thinks otherwise. Upon hearing a mysterious noise emanating from beneath a cluster of rocks, he ventured closer to investigate. Recording, we see a glimpse of what he sees. The problem now is we're not sure what he's seeing. Could it be an alien? Could it be an extraterrestrial entity? Or perhaps it's a known land animal that eludes recognition due to the video quality? Well, we can't state with confidence what it is, but we're glad he didn't at least try to rescue it. Who knows what he could have unleashed on our already broken world. Still on spooky things, let's take a look at this cam footage. Look closely and you should see it. There's a human-looking creature that seems to disappear as quickly as it appears, heading toward the camera. It moves briefly, vanishes, then reappears, and moves a little more. It's just reminiscent of a horror movie. Unsurprisingly, this footage startled viewers when it surfaced online. Nevertheless, skepticism grew among many after scrutinizing the footage multiple times. It does look like edited footage. Take a critical look at it and tell us what you think. Do you think it's a genuine dark creature of the night, or do you think it's a human playing pretend? We'd like to hear from you. Here we have something sure to keep you scratching your head. Do you believe in aliens? Do you believe we're not alone in this universe? If you said no, I wouldn't blame you. I'd be scared of that thought too, thanks to movies such as The War of the Worlds. Notwithstanding our fears and skepticism, we can't ignore compelling evidence right before our eyes. This trail camera is set up deep in the woods to capture the local wildlife. However, the owner soon realized that the camera had captured something beyond their expectations. He noticed that there were lights in the sky just above a deer the trail cam was capturing. The lights moved in erratic patterns before vanishing into the darkness. As a result, numerous questions have arisen, with one prevailing above all. Are the aliens already here? Montana has long been a hotspot for strange and unexplained phenomena, from mysterious lights in the sky to sightings of extraterrestrial beings. But this footage takes things to a whole new level. A man captures an image on his trail cam and believes that it's a ghost. As you can see, it looks like the person in that image is oddly hazy, making it look like a ghost. Now locals and visitors alike are abuzz with talk of this ghostly apparition, wondering what it could mean and what other secrets might be lurking in the forests of Montana. Have you been to Montana? Have you experienced any strange things there? What do you think of this video? Tell us in the comments section. In the hot Portuguese desert, this footage was taken, with a lot of speculations about what the creature could be. As you can see, a humanoid creature about 7 to 8 feet tall is seen taking slow strides through the desert. The movement resembles that of a zombie from The Walking Dead, except that this creature is way bigger. The color of the creature blends perfectly with the surrounding. Perhaps this is why it's moving during the day, since it believes it has the perfect camouflage. It walks behind some bushes and never emerges again, leaving the owner of the footage wondering where it went. Once this was shared online, it led to many opposing views, some saying that it's a hoax, while the paranormal community argues that it might be a Sasquatch, a Bigfoot, or an alien. What do you think it is? The moose, a majestic and powerful animal, is known for its ability to navigate through the forest and find sustenance in the wild. However, sometimes even the most skilled of creatures can find themselves in a tight spot. This was the case with one moose in particular who went apple hunting and found itself stuck in between the branches of a tree. The moose cried out for help, hoping someone would hear its pleas and come to its rescue. Fortunately, locals came to its aid and immediately called the authorities. A team of experts arrived on the scene and assessed the situation. They realized that the only way to save the moose was to cut down the tree. With precision and care, the tree was cut down and the moose was rescued from its perilous situation. After being examined by the experts, the moose quickly ran off into the woods, eager to continue its journey. Amid the dense forest, an elk skull is lodged between the branches of a tree trunk. How did it get there? Was it a deliberate act or an unfortunate accident? As the camera zooms in, you can see the intricate details of the skull, the antlers still attached to the bones. It's a haunting sight, almost like a message from the wilderness itself. Some speculate that the elk may have been caught in a hunter's trap and dragged along until it became lodged in the tree. Others believe it was the work of a pack of wolves who were scavenging for food. But perhaps there's a more mysterious explanation. Could it be the work of some supernatural force, a warning to those who dare to trespass in the forest? Whatever the cause, the elk skull remains in its eerie perch, a reminder of the mysteries that lie deep within the heart of the wild. Our final video of the day is from the swamps of Florida. Imagine trying to reconnect with nature and going for a hike only to hear strange sounds coming from the swamp. You carefully make your way there and see this guy. The creature looks like a weird blend between a bear, a sloth, and a human. And to make things even stranger, it's displaying a strong and aggressive demeanor. It comes as no surprise that the individuals who captured this footage claim they fled in fear as soon as they finished filming. But taking a second look at it, it feels like its fur is made of cloth. Is this an elaborate hoax designed to ridicule members of the paranormal community, or am I just imagining things? Kindly share your thoughts in the comments section, and thanks for staying this long. See you in the next video.